never met
"Dear
him.
Casey, I love you." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, you're killing me." I'm like, "Dear Casey, there's a riot going on and there's fire. I'm gonna turn over, cover my ear to write this letter."
Soundstripe.
Welcome into another episode of Blockbusters, a classic movie podcast where if you're like us and you miss the days of packed movie theaters and movie stores, and this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Caleb Suggs. Joining me is one of my co-hosts, Dakota Lowry.
What's up, everybody?
And Ernie Ferguson.
Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
And this week we are doing Con Air, 1997's Con Air, directed by Michael Bay. I'm sorry, Simon West. My bad. I'm sorry.
This is a Bruckheimer. This is a Bruckheimer film.
Nothing about this movie is Michael Bay-ish at all.
No,
at all.
not at all.
No,
there are absolutely nothing like it.
No, but being for real, is this not the most Michael Bay, non-Michael Bay movie you've ever seen in your life?
Have Jerry Bruckheimer and Michael Bay been in the same place at the same time ever? Because their movies have a lot of similarity to them.
Well, they've done didn't Jerry Bruckheimer did The Rock, didn't he? And then Michael Bay directed it, right?
Yes.
So but I mean, hey, this is right in the middle of So Michael Bay does Bad Boys in '95, and then you get The Rock in '96 and Armageddon '98. So this is right there in the middle in '97. So this was right around with this type of movies were becoming popular. The blockbusters with the action packed and the explosions and all the quick cuts and the stylistic cinematography and all that. So you can definitely see where Simon West, who I've never heard of, but you can see where he got his style points from, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the biggest thing that really got on my nerves this entire movie, Nicolas Cage had to have watched Forrest Gump and says, you know what? That's the Southern accent. That's the Mobile, Alabama accent I'm sticking with. Because it's all I could see throughout the whole movie, man. It was so bad.
My wife has family from Mobile, and I ain't heard an accent like that. That's
it's terrible, but I love it.
It is,
however,
an awful accent. That it's one of those things where it's just like, what I mean, because Nicolas Cage. That's one thing about Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage, like Bruce Willis, these were actors that turned action stars. So you're not talking about like Van Damme and like Schwarzenegger, who were action stars. These are like trained actors, and you figure, man, come on, you can. I mean, at least get a little bit better accent than that. Because I guess also us being from the South, not necessarily it's offensive, but it's like that's not what
it's just annoying.
Let's be fair. Go ahead.
I don't know. I guess I don't think it's like offensive, and I didn't really take offense, but it was kind of just like it almost felt like you're being made fun of type of thing, where you're just kind of sitting there like, well, it's almost like he tried to take like a Savannah type of accent. It tied in with I don't know.
That's the only thing I can think. Made fun of. I just don't think there's.
I don't think he's from fun of.
He's from California. I just don't think that I've ever heard any Northern or California type actor successfully do a good Southern accent.
No, it's just a bad interpretation. It's not.
Yeah.
He was going full tilt with it. So,
but I think it makes the movie better. I think if he had a better accent, it wouldn't have been. I do. I mean, look, this movie is stupid. There's so many things wrong with this movie. There's wrong with the plot. There's so many, but it's so entertaining and it's so good that I love it so much.
It's almost like Reese Witherspoon in Sweet Home Alabama, where I think Callie said that. Didn't Callie said that the other day when y'all watched it? Was that it feels like that's what everybody else thinks people from Alabama talk like.
That is closer to what.
But Reese is actually from the South. She's from Louisiana, right? I think. So she's from the South. I know that. I know that much. So I mean,
I just in my head when they told Nick Cage to do it, they probably I imagine they told him, imagine what you think a Southern accent sounds like, and let's go with it.
all I ever think about is that is in Psych, and Ernie will know what I'm talking about. Dakota will not, because he has not watched this show because he doesn't have good taste. But
I've watched good TV shows. Let's calm down.
He always telling Gus not to be something. He's like, Gus, don't be Nick Cage's accent from Con Air.
Don't be Nick Cage's accent. Yeah,
but I love that hand motion there. Yeah, just go ahead. Just go ahead. Con Air is a 1997 American action thriller film directed by Simon West and starring Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, and John Malkovich in the lead roles. Written by Scott Rosenberg and produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, the film centers on a prison break aboard a J-Pat's aircraft nicknamed as Con Air. It features an ensemble sporting cast of Steve Buscemi, Ving Rhames, Colm Meaney, Kitty Williamson, and Rachel Tickerton, with Monica Potter, Dave Chappelle, MC Gainey, and Danny Trejo in minor roles. Con Air was released theatrically on June 6, 1997 by Buena Vistas Pictures through Touchstone Pictures, and was a box office success, grossing over $220 million against a production budget of $75 million. It received mixed reviews from critics, but the film has achieved a cult following among the Nicolas Cage fan base, and it received Oscar nominations for Best Sound and Best Original Song for How Do I Live, performed on the soundtrack by Trisha Yearwood.
That song came from this movie?
No, the original version came out before, right? That's why I was chuckled a little bit at the Best Original Song.
That's what I was like.
Don't get me wrong, to answer Ernie's question from last week, I do prefer Trisha Yearwood's version much better than I do the original version.
According to this, the Academy Award for Best Original Song is one of the awards given annually, presented to songwriters who have composed the best original song written specifically for a film.
Yeah, I think the LeAnn Rimes one was. I think they came out at the same time, but it was originally written. I think LeAnn Rimes was like tapped to record it for the movie, but then people were like, a 14-year-old singing this song probably doesn't go over very well, despite Hollywood. And so, then they went with Trisha Yearwood, and both songs I think came out like, I want to say at the same time,
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it was a very interesting. There was the which team were you on, and Trisha Yearwood I just think is better just because, again, it's just creepy that you have a 14-year-old singing that song. It's just.
But even if you take away that just from this pure musical part of it, I think Trisha's is better. It's more ballady, which as I've told y'all, I love me some ballads, more power ballads, and such a great song though. It makes you want to sing every time. I was watching it yesterday. Yeah, I watched it yesterday. Callie was on the couch, not paying attention, of course, because it was an action movie. But they started playing that song immediately. She looked up, I'm like, "Oh, we gotta sing this. We gotta sing this song."
According
what does it lose to?
Wikipedia. Sorry, golly, we
talk all over each other.
Let's take a number. Let's take a number.
Dakota, you go first since you're the co-star.
Yeah, this is far less interesting probably than what you were going to say, but they both released on both versions. Trisha Yearwood's and LeAnn Rimes both released to the radio at the same date. So,
because neither one of them wrote it, so I mean that was.
There's like Deanna Wrights. I just closed the tab, but yeah, it was like Deanna Wrights or something like that wrote it, but. It was on LeAnn Rimes' albums that she released that year, but it was Trisha Yearwood performed it for this movie specifically.
So who won the Oscar for the best original song that year? Get your guess. I mean, it's got to be a big song to knock that song off.
Was that around the time when
I'm trying to think of what's
the timber. It's not. It doesn't have to be from a movie, does it?
Best.
This was
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
the
Best
original
original
song from the
song.
movie.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
Academy Awards.
I have no idea. I can't remember. What is it?
Don't think it's
the
not in the air; it's in the sea.
Yeah, it's got to be the one from Titanic. It's
Yeah, the one from Titanic, the Celine Dion song.
Oh,
My
I
yeah,
heart will
forgot.
go
I'll
on.
always love you. No, 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 no.
My heart
No,
will
it's
go
not.
on.
My heart will go on. Yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot that came
So,
out in '97.
yeah.
Well, speaking of '97, Ernie, since you were kind of, let's see, you would have been
Is this a reference to his age or the year that this was?
both, but
97. I'm 23 at this
I was
time.
gonna say me and Dakota were in diapers, but Ernie was a very young
I
adult, so he could
was.
tell us about the release of this movie and what he remembers of it.
Oh, I can still remember the sticky movie theater that I watched it in. But this was the Nick Cage in a year and a half like trilogy movie. The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off. This was Nick Cage. And this is a crazy thing is he won an Academy Award for Leaving Las Vegas, which is if you want to be depressed, go watch that movie. It's a very depressing movie with him and Elizabeth Shue. Then you follow up, you got as much mojo in the movie industry after you win an Academy Award. And he follows it up with The Rock, Face Off, and Con Air, which just seems like a weird direction to go for Nick Cage. But then Nick Cage is, he goes Snake Eyes, he does 8mm, he does like the National Treasure and all that kind of stuff. So it just seems like a really weird direction for him to go after winning an Academy Award. But yeah, I can remember it. I can remember the posters, the songs. It was a big deal because also, I mean, you look at the cast. I mean, John Cusack at this time was hot. John Malkovich is. When we talked about Die Hard, and we talked about the Alan Rickman. There, you have an actor's actor being the bad guy. Well, here you have an actor's actor and Malkovich doing the same thing. I mean, now he got a little buff for it, and he was a little bit different. But again, you don't think of as an action star. But I mean, Malkovich was the second most entertaining thing, probably after Chappelle. Wow, Dakota, did you disagree with that, or I just saw
No,
that face you made?
I'm looking through John Malkovich's IMDb, and I forgot he was in The Man in the Iron Mask.
He's in so many good movies. I love John Malkovich.
In The Line of Fire, he was
In The
good
Line of
as a
Fire
bad guy
is
there
fantastic. He's not a bad guy in it, but if y'all haven't seen it, you have to watch Red. I think it
too.
came out in like 2010. That movie's
Oh,
awesome.
yes, he is mentally unstable in that as a
That's
former
him.
CIA or FBI or whatever.
But
And then
he
if you
does
watch
a
him in like
great
something like
job.
Rounders, also he's a bad guy there. And Matt Damon has talked about the movie Rounders, where he plays like this Russian gangster, and just the accent that Malkovich does as a Russian gangster. And said Matt Damon's like, I didn't know whether to be serious or laugh just because he was going crazy with the accent.
But you mentioned the cast, which is an amazing cast, and it's got an ensemble supporting cast, which again is another very Michael Bayish type thing to have such a big cast. But at the same time, at times it feels like it's probably too much, like to try to give everybody screen time, and at some point it just it's like you probably could have cut like Steve Buscemi in this. Now I love the way they bring him in, but I really don't know what he adds to the movie. I mean, really, not. But he's great. His character is great. I mean, I don't know. It's like a combination of Hannibal Lecter and I don't even know what they bring him in. He's got this mask on, and you got to have two keys just to get him. And then he's like in that chair, and it's a great entrance. But then at the same time, it's like what you see. It's like a side story in the movie. There's so much going on in the movie, but again, great acting, and it's super fun.
That's what they kind of use him as, like, the eyes from the outside looking on and what's going on. Where he talks about like the definition of insanity is going back to the work or going back to work every day and all this kind of stuff. And then the definition of irony when he talked about them singing the Leonard Skinner song on the airplane when that that group died. A lot of them died from, or some of them died from a plane crash. Just that whole entire
That was pretty good.
entire thing about it. I'm a big Steve Buscemi fan, anyways. I like almost
Yeah,
everything
and
that
this
he's
this
in.
was like his heyday, right? Because this was right. I mean, he had a bunch of big stuff around the time, so he was pretty popular. And this was a year before Armageddon. I know he had a bunch of other stuff that came out around this time. So, and then you got other guys like Danny Trejo, John Cusack. It was a big around this time as well. So yeah, and
Yeah, I
it's
mean, and you got Ving Rhames, who came off of Pulp Fiction and Mission Impossible, and another movie called Rosewood too. And then, so I mean, again, you have guys that are like they are swinging for the fences right here. And and you're right. I like that they did have an ensemble. I mean, because we haven't even talked about Danny Trejo or Dave Chappelle either, or like John Cusack or Colm Meaney. But you know, that is a lot of screen time to give them, and they all. I mean, you're talking about prisoners, so they all want to cook whenever they get on screen, and they pretty much do whenever
yeah,
they're on there. There's, I mean, when Steve Buscemi, who's not known for just being kind of a a
serious.
a quiet actor, his parts are usually loud, you know, and out there in your face. But again, he did a great job.
And I think that's a good thing that all of the cast really did. Is just when they had their moment, they took it and they ran with it. You know, like those that were to act insane or to act like, uh, to act crazy or whatever. Like they did that part well. But then you have even like in Nick Cage and like his friend, I can't remember what his friend's name was, but
Baby
even in
O.
Baby O, yeah, like in their parts where they're trying to feign that hey that we're you know like we're on your side, but they're just kind of in it for themselves. Like I really feel like all the actors did a good job of just I guess like displaying that insanity, you know.
Well, honorable discharged Army Ranger Cameron Poe returns home from Desert Storm to his hometown of Mobile, Alabama, and reunites with his pregnant wife, Tricia. That night, three intoxicated men assault Poe, who ends up being given a 7 to 10 year prison sentence for accidentally killing one of them in self defense. 8 years later, Poe is paroled and boards a flight to Alabama on the Jailbird, a converted J-Pat's prison transport plane. Accompanying Poe is his diabetic cellmate and best friend, Mike Baby O. Odell. So I mentioned earlier that as much as I love this movie, there's so many things wrong with it, just like the plot holes and everything. And it start first of all, I don't even know like they didn't do a good job to like really understand what was happening at the beginning. Like I feel the first time I watched this, I thought he was going into the army, not coming
Mm.
being discharged from it.
Yeah,
But
I
then
did not know he was discharged. Honestly,
yeah, so they didn't do a good job of explaining that, and then you go into this bar. I mean, he has to get in prison somehow, and I know they're trying to do it in a way where you don't view him as a bad guy.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, for him to he kills a guy in self defense, and then for the judge to say normally this wouldn't be a crime, but because you're military and you've been trained,
you're
you've
a
been
deadly
trained.
weapon.
Yeah, that's different. And you get said, no, that's not a thing. That's not
yeah,
that's
no,
not legal, and that's not going to happen in a real court of law.
yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't really get that. Like, I was kind of confused. I mean, and then with as heavy of a sentence as he got too, like, it wasn't really like it wasn't really self defense. You know, I mean, he kind of did provoke the fight. He could have just got in the car and drove off.
he was surrounded by three dudes.
Yeah. Well, how did he
He,
provoke it?
no, I'm not saying I didn't mean that. I didn't mean he provoked it, but he
Oh,
he could have walked away from it. Is what my like he was in the car and could have drove off and didn't. You know, so I understand like a light sentence, maybe 2 to 3 years, but I'm like you. Like when he said that with like, hey, like you're a highly trained, killing
I
machine.
don't think I don't think there should have been any sentence. If this was real life, I would be very upset.
I don't
what?
think it was
But
self defense. Honestly, I didn't at least.
I thought he got hit first. He was surrounded by 3 guys. One had a switchblade knife.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
got hit
what do
first.
you
How
want
is
him to
that not
do?
defense? That's not
They're there to
retaliation.
jump on him. What do you want to do? Be like, oh well, I'm just gonna get in the car.
Get in the car and leave.
Hey, stab
What
me
stopped
first.
him? They're
No,
there
they
to beat
wouldn't
him
have.
up.
I know they were there to beat him up, but they were across the alley away from him. He could have. His
Dakota, I don't think
was
you
saying,
watched the same movie that we watched.
Yes, I
Remember,
did.
he is the reason that we lost Vietnam. So that's why they were coming after him, because
I'm not
Cameron
saying I
Poe
blame him for
is so
fighting him.
sissy. That's why.
I'm
You
not
know,
saying I blame him for
he wasn't
fighting
even
him.
good enough to get he had to get off a shrimp boat. That's how disrespectful that that Cameron Poe was. That's how awful he was. He had to get off a shrimp boat, and his wife couldn't even pick him up. That's how much she loved him, that she couldn't even pick him up. Again, the guys would have been better off blaming people like Cameron Poe is why the South lost the Civil War instead of Vietnam, because that makes no sense. Vietnam at 22 years later after Vietnam, they're talking about that? No,
Yeah, but
hillbillies like that in Mobile are going to say that's why we lost the Civil War, even though they would say we still haven't lost the Civil War. But that's
and also, this is not like it's in the Northwest like Rambo. I mean, this is the South. I feel like the military is treated pretty good here in the South as opposed to other places of the country. So that didn't really make sense. But Dakota, I mean, I feel like you have this picture in your head like they were across, like away from him, like they're right there. Like they followed him to his car.
I understand they were right there, but like, dude could have just gotten his car and drove off. Is my point.
You don't love our troops. You don't love.
My dad is an ex-military. My dad is a retired military.
So we're going deep. This is deep-seated psychological stuff, isn't it, Dakota? We're digging deep here.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
my own father. You heard it here, folks.
He gets his prison sentence, and we go quickly through 8 years, reading through all his letters that he gets from his daughter, having never met him.
Casey, I love you. I'm like, oh my goodness, you're killing me. Dear Casey, there's a riot going on and there's fire. I'm going to cover my ear to write this letter.
Yeah, he's very unbothered by prison.
Me in the face.
By prison. Really prison life does not seem to affect him that much. I mean, he just kind of goes about his business. He gets his snowballs in the mail.
But to be fair though, like, how else are they going to go through the 8 years? You know, they have to build some type of relationship between him and his daughter.
Did they ever? I don't know if I missed this, but because this was the first time I'd seen it in a while, so I forgot a lot. But did they ever explain why Baby-O was in jail?
No,
I don't.
Another plot hole.
Nor did they explain that friendship. Why Cameron?
Excuse me. He gave him a snowball, and they became besties for the resties because of that snowball.
Oh yeah,
have you ever had a snowball? Okay,
that has coconut in it. Negative. No, snowballs are nasty. Plus, I'll tell that story when we're not on the recording. About
a PG-13 contest.
It's PG-13, but it's not. It's people will never eat snowballs again because they'll have this mental image in their head, and it's just
oh my word!
Again, it's a PG-13 story, so don't get get your head out of the gutter.
My mind's not in the gutter, Ferg.
I'm trying to think what you think we would be thinking of that could possibly be R-rated with a snowball.
I don't know. That's up to y'all.
I'm just thinking of a revolting story that, like, like you said, it's not going to make me want to eat a snowball. I don't think you're going to be doing anything inappropriate with the snowball.
But I mean, they still didn't explain the friendship, like I said, with Baby-O, which made him so loyal to him. There was nothing at all that, from what I saw in the movie, that, and again, it's Bubba 2.0 in this movie. Again,
literally, you got Nick Cage's Forrest Gump, and you got his buddy Bubba.
And Bubba's dying. This time Bubba makes it though, but
yeah.
I even think he said I'm dying or something like that, and it sounded like Bubba too.
And he stuck his bottom lip out.
Yeah.
He stuck his bottom lip out.
Without the prosthetic too, but it was like, oh man. Bubba, you're screwed in Vietnam and on the jailbird. Golly.
Uh, Most of the inmates boarding the flight are high-risk convicts being transferred to a supermax prison, including mass murderer Willie Billy Bedlam Bedford, serial rapist Johnny Three Baca, Black Gorilla former General Nathan Diamond Dog Jones, and professional criminal Cyrus the Virus Grissom. The flight is overseen by U.S. Marshal Vince Larkin. DEA agent Willie Sims plans to go on an undercover mission to get information from drug kingpin Francisco Cindino, who is being picked up en route. Okay, so I'm gonna get into the uh just the characters that I just named there because they're all great. But here's another thing that it doesn't make sense. Why? Okay, so he's paroled. He's a free man. Like he's free. Why is he being transported on this? I understand he is getting a ride back to Alabama. That's like the thing that they give, but he's being transported on this prison transport with all of these super dangerous criminals, and he's still wearing. He's being treated. He's a free man.
So
Why?
here's another question. So his crime took place in Alabama. Where did this plane ride
California.
start? So why in the
he was
world?
He was in federal prison in California. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Prison. I'm sorry, we're in the deep South. There's a federal prison, probably a bazillion of them in the South. There ain't no need for taking him.
No, I think that was a thing that they said there though, was that he was placed in the federal penitentiary, but then they had the Alabama penitentiary that was opened up, and they were transferring a lot of these inmates to the federal penitentiary that opened in Alabama on this flight.
But to Ferg's point, I mean, look, we love us.
We got federal prisons
in the South. You're telling me there's not somewhere along the way, but he's like, well, we got to send him all the way to California.
And this is manslaughter, 7 to 10 years, and you're going to send him to this maximum prison in California with Billy Bedlam, who killed his wife, cheated on him, so he killed her family and her dog, but left her alive. Even though they were in different blocks, though. So, I mean, that's okay.
And you mean to tell me, now, look, I appreciate what they did and not having the love interest kind of be one of those movies where she kind of throws him to the wolves, like, you're dead to me, you're in prison. Like, she waits for him. She literally waits for him. But, that being said, they're supposed to be so in love. You're telling me that the day he's released from prison and he's never met his daughter, y'all can't meet him to get him out? Like, he's got to ride this prison transport back to Alabama. That sounds like some cheap songs.
Well, I mean, did she meet him when he came back from Kuwait or from Iraq? No, he got off on a fishing boat when she was still working. Girl got to make money. She got to get paid. She ain't worried about where he is and where he's coming back from. And
yeah, honestly, he's not making a bunch of money.
Monica Potter ain't sticking around for Cameron Poe or whatever that's just actress name. She ain't sticking around for him if he's in California. If he was in jail in Alabama, that ain't happening. Girl ain't.
Look, if we're being honest here, at the end of the movie, I really thought Nick Cage was about to end up with that guard.
Yes, yeah. The random thing. It's like we can't have. Because we can't have the wife there because it wouldn't make any sense. But we gotta have a love interest, so we'll have a side love interest. And we'll give him a little kiss on the cheek. It won't be too bad.
I mean, you'd also know you're getting released, so you're gonna wait till you get back to Alabama to cut your mullet. I mean, and it's not a Kiefer Sutherland mullet either. Well, it's 1 inch away from a skullet. So I mean,
he said I was gonna get my hair cut. It's like, you've had 8 years, you could get cut.
Exactly. I mean, like, tell me Baby O ain't a barber. I guarantee you Baby O's a barber in prison, and he can take care of that. He looks like a man that could take care of some hair. I guarantee you can take care of that.
I'm sure there's someone in the prison that'll buzz it. I mean, even if he's not a barber, there's got to be somebody.
Oh yeah, the Aryan Nation guys will be happy to buzz it for him. I mean, Sig Heil's and just get it off for him,
But anyways, he does board this flight. We don't know why, but he is on this, and still in cuffs, by the way, even though he's a free man. Mm-hmm. And we do get to meet this just fantastic cast of criminals.
Well, and the line and how Cusack introduces them too. So not only do we meet them, but basically the lineup call. of about how he's describing all of them. Give him their nicknames. He's killed more men than cancer, type of thing. Denzel's going to play him in the movie. Just different quotes like that. Again, this to me is one of the best parts of the movie. Just the introduction of all these these high risk jail guys, and then Larkin just sitting there describing them to him. Again, this is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, the movie is definitely has a an absurd feel to it, and what I mean by that is they just want to go big with everything they do, and that includes the cast of the criminals that you get. I mean, it's just not, they could have like easily said that they're just, oh, he killed some people, but I mean, giving them all the nicknames, giving them this background, they've got to make it as big and bold as they can, and
Yeah.
they do that in the entire movie, and it works for the movie.
Let me tell you, I think my guy stood on, had a very sensible mind to not put a gun on the guy's ankle to go into a plane full of criminals.
So
Like he,
why aren't the jailers that are sitting on the bridge, why are they not armed? I'm sorry. Again, I know you don't want to fire off a gun in a 1945 airplane, you know, but again, what good does weapons on the belly of the plane do for you at all? Again, that's just, you know, which kind of goes back to this whole entire thing of who is actually in charge? I mean, when we get to all the chaos that's going on, is it the U.S. Marshals and Larkin? Is it the DEA? Is it the military who has the helicopters? Is it the local police? Nobody. I mean, it's like true government fashion. Nobody
Yeah.
knows who's in charge. You know.
Yeah, and then I guess the whole DEA thing again, the Francisco Sandino thing and all that. That's just kind of another little side plot that they throw in there that it doesn't. They probably could have done without. Um, but yeah, I mean, just go into. I mean, I guess the U.S. Marshal would be in. But my whole thing is they have the prison
it
break,
starts with the marshals.
and he makes like that big deal about like, we have never practiced. We've never practiced for this because it's never been contemplated. Hold up. You're telling me you have no contingency for prison break? I don't think my tax dollars are being spent well.
This goes back to the fallacy of the whole entire idea. Let's put all the worst people on one flight together. That was not a good idea to
I'm
begin with.
pretty sure that Nick Cage's Poe or whatever his name is, that he says that at some point.
Oh yeah, he does. His quotes throughout it are just great.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I'd written a lot of them down, but everything he says that they're doing. Nick's a chatty Cathy throughout this whole thing. If he's not making great remarks about what the situation there is, he's making sure everybody knows that on July 14th that it's his daughter's birthday. He's going to meet her for the first time.
Yeah, which also during this time period, I mean, there's some racist stuff, and
oh yeah,
like Chappelle. And I mean, well, first of all, the white prison guard that's introducing everybody and all this kind of stuff, and it's not the hard R word, but they dropping an N word over and over and over and over.
Are you sure? Because the closed captions absolutely dropped the hard R several times.
Oh, see, to me, I thought I heard the old 1950s version. Well, whatever. But then also Chappelle talking to the guy, don't get all wounded knee on me, and he calls them last of the Mohicans. I mean, David Chappelle, why could they have not killed somebody else off? Why?
That was my question.
Oh, Chappelle was cooking. Chappelle was fun. Now, again, probably if there would have been more Chappelle, it probably would have been. Probably would have been too much. But oh my
taken
goodness,
away from the movie.
He was, yeah, because I don't think they had any lines for him. I think they just let him say, "Here you go, go," and it was. I mean, it was good. And, coughing up the flammable liquid or whatever. That's just so. Johnny 23. If they remade Con Air today, would they have Johnny 23 in the movie?
I don't think so.
I mean,
I mean, it's a criminal, so it's not like hey, we're I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's not like hey, we're
I'm gonna be
glorifying this, but I mean,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't
got
think they would because they catch people like him much quicker. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think you're gonna have somebody get to 23 before they get caught nowadays.
Which also his math is kind of bad. I mean, he's saying if they only knew it'd be 600. So why didn't he have 600 tattoos on his arm and not just the 23? I mean, come on, son. If you're gonna lie, I mean, lie good, you know. But
No.
that was just, and that was creepy. Also, again, this movie is not meant to be creepy, but to have a serial rapist and have the tattoos of all, basically a heart for every single one of his victims.
Yeah,
that was.
That goes back to what
that's why Danny Trejo. That's what Trejo is the perfect fit for this too.
There's a few things that happen throughout this movie that I'm really just like I understand they're criminals and I get it, but there's a few things that kind of just like made me uncomfortable. Like the scene where he comes back onto the plane later on with the female guard, and then like the whole the weird dude Buscemi. Like his whole scene with the little girl.
With the little girl. Oh, that's.
I'm just sitting here and I'm like, yeah. I'm the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm just like I'm uncomfortable in those moments.
The same. There was the same with the little girl. I mean, there was about 4 different things going on, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I mean, again, what does that have to do with the movie?
Literally, like they could have left that part out and not have. The only thing that maybe added to the movie was when the plane was going down and he was singing the song. Maybe, but I mean, like to me, like you could have left that whole scene out.
It almost seemed like Buscemi's part was an afterthought that they added to the movie later on, because it really didn't. He did nothing to the storyline other than, I guess, give them a reason to land. But he didn't help with the jailbreak. He didn't. I mean, he just kind of sat there and was like the meta commentary is basically what he was.
You talking about them landing in a?
They were picking up other prisoners anyway, so it's not like they were just picking up him.
But he was a last minute add to it.
Oh, that's right. He was last minute ad. That's which again. That's
they just put that in there like hey, it was a last minute ad to the movie, so he's a last minute.
I see what you're saying though, because in every scene that he's in, it's just him, Poe, and Baby-O, or him and the little girl. Like there's very few scenes when he's actually seen with other prisoners. Like I think the only other scene that I can think of is when the plane's going down and they tell him to shut up.
Leonard Skinner comment.
After taking off,
but even in that one though, he was only with Poe and Baby-O.
That's true.
After taking off, inmate Joe Pinball Parker sets another prisoner on fire using smuggled kerosene as a distraction, allowing Grissom and Diamond Daw to take over the plane. They plan to land at Carson Airport to schedule a pickup and transfer other prisoners and fly to a non-extradition country. Sims tries to retake control, but Grissom kills him and takes his gun. The whole vomiting up the kerosene, like, first of all, your plan hinges on a man being able to do that, which is just
Did he vomit it over here? I thought he had it tied to like a piece of floss.
Well, he vomited up the string and then pulled the string.
Oh, so I thought it was just like tucked in his mouth or something like that.
And then they had the nails,
to lift their tongue up and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, the nails in the skin. I'm like, now again, that's pretty. But when they took it out, and I saw how big they were. I guess I'm just an idiot, but evidently, according to Hollywood, handcuffs are the easiest things to break out of. Again, I guess I'm not that good of a criminal.
Little metal piece thing. Hey, you're not Cyrus the Virus.
No, that is true. Sayonara.
Let me tell you, kudos to them for being able to get the thing in there. Like, my dad was a police officer, so of course, as kids, we did not do this. Like, we got handcuffed at some point or another as a kid. Just like,
Did you get tased and also
no, but my dad did have a breathalyzer at the house. So,
well,
he didn't have to worry about it, but I also didn't have to. I didn't give him reason to worry about it, but if I wanted to,
Well, we get to back to old Cameron Poe, and I appreciate the loyalty to Baby O, his best friend, although we don't know why their friendship is that way it is, and also the loyalty to the female prison guard that he just met. But if I'm trying to think of it strategically, I feel like we'd get off the plane and tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Especially, you must not really want to see your child and your wife
Yeah,
that bad.
sorry. It does make you wonder. Like, are you maybe you're just scared to see him because he has a few chances to go.
Can't leave another man behind.
Yeah, well, apparently that lesson was drilled into his brain with an actual drill.
Not a Marine, but as a Ranger.
Yeah, as an Army Ranger.
You know, I
Which,
just
at the Carson City, then we introduced us to another one of my favorites was Swamp Thing. He made me laugh. I like the pilot. He was good.
Yeah, there was. Hold on, there was something in here that. I think I'm in the next one. I can't remember what it was.
If you gonna tell us to hold on, you got to fill up that dead air.
I don't. I was gonna say
you got to tell us something. I don't know. Give us some kind of story.
We got sidetracked talking about something, and I don't remember what it was. It'll come to me later on.
It almost. I mean, I liked all the agents or the marshals' uniforms. They are all like in the sandstorm. They all look like, I don't know, probably something that could be out of Star Wars. And that's, you get all this going, and then the bus stops. Because they find all the film in it or the tape cassettes in there. And then Cyrus he blows that one guy away who knew he was about to die. But then that's where again you get, if I'm Pinball, man, I ain't trying to get back on that plane. I'm still talking to that girl and stuff like that, but
well, man, I get my only thing there is maybe he thought that him being stuck there, he didn't have nowhere to go when he's but to go back to kind of like some more plot holes, like they tell Baby O volunteers that he's going to get off, but then they tell him, oh no, it has to be a white guy, but then they duct tape the people's mouths and put the hoods over them. So like, why? I didn't really get that. That was
when they scanned the bracelet.
Yeah, but they were taking off other people's bracelets and putting them on.
No,
yeah,
but
because they didn't want them to talk, and they didn't want them to know that wasn't the
okay.
prisoners that they were giving them.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. All right. Well, the plane arrives at Carson City, and the inmates exchange commences. The ground crew is unaware that hijackers are disguised as guards, and the real guards are forcibly disguised as inmates gagged to prevent them from revealing the scheme. Amongst the new passengers are Sandino, pilot Earl Swamp Thing Williams, and serial killer Garland Green. The authorities discover the hijacking upon finding evidence in Grissom's old cell and a tape recorder planted by Poe on one of the disguised guards, but cannot prevent the plane from taking off. Meanwhile, Pinball disposes of the plane's transponder, but dies trying to reboard during takeoff.
This was what I was going to talk about. When I understand they're in prison, I get this. Okay, who on the outside's helping him, helping Cyrus come up with all this? Because how do you come up with a plan this big and know that there's going to be a pilot that's going to be put on the plane at a completely different prison and from a completely different prison at a completely different airport, and plan that out?
He's a genius.
That
explains everything. He's a genius. You don't have to do anything else. Just say genius. Okay, that makes sense.
I feel like, and I could be wrong, and Fergie, you can tell me because obviously you're more familiar with the movies of this time period. That's not me trying to crack an old joke. That's just saying.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like today, like if this movie came out today, we would be much more. The people would be like, "Oh, this doesn't make sense." Like like we're doing right now. But I feel like in 1997, you just be like, "Hey, he's a genius." You're like our Ferg said, "Okay."
Well, to me,
not to say people in 1997 were stupid. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
I'm just thinking it's more.
Look at the movie, though. Because look at the movie that you're watching. You're watching Con Air, and and how you go into this, and what you're thinking about. So Con Air is what, 97? Okay, let's look at the usual suspects. All right, You go into both of those movies, they're both thrillers or crimes type of movies, but you know you're coming into a Jerry Bruckheimer or a Michael Bay. You're in there for a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to
Yeah.
sit there and go at the plot. Usual Suspects needed a plot. It needed that as a driving force for all the other type of acting. This is not Academy Award winning acting. This is boom, bang, one-liners. We're having a good time. We're out. That's
And I think my
and so that's why you can that's why a lot of the plot holes you overlook because you get weird things that Cyrus says or you get weird one-liners about the bunny from Nicolas Cage. That because again, that was the movie. The movie was not it, if people come into thinking that Con Air is an Academy Award that you're going to see De Niro and stuff like that at its best, then you don't know what you're going into watching it.
Yeah, I
You
had no
know,
idea what I was going into.
I
but I
think
mean, but
my point kind of being is and I feel like 1997 people are when they go to watch those kind of movies were more like, yeah, that's what we're watching. Whereas today, even if you have these movies and people know that you have these movies before you go watch them, they're still gonna try and dissect it just because that's
Yeah.
where I mean, look, we got a bajillion podcasts. We're on one, and where
yeah.
we just dissect movies. That's just what our society's become when we dissect everything.
And that's the thing. Again, that's one of those things I think understand. If you look at movie posters, they can probably give you a good idea of what you're going to go see. And the movie poster for Con Air has flames all over the place. That's what it is. It's make it go boom, And you look at, I mean, for those of y'all that have actually listened, all two of y'all that have listened to this, we have a spreadsheet. Well, part of our spreadsheet, we just kind of have movie ideas thrown in there. And if y'all go and look at the 1997 ones, I mean, Con Air, Fifth Element, Face Off, Anaconda, The Saint, all those are not deep thought movies. They are big, they are lights, they are fire, and that's what it is. It is good time movie. It's check your brain at the door, go sit there, now entertain me. And that's why you can look at something like this and and if you had Nicolas Cage's accent in Usual Suspects and one of those characters, it turns you off the movie because it just doesn't work. But here, oh, okay, that's fine.
And say, I think that's part of the problem that I think I come into this movie because so many people had recommended it to me, and so many people said, "Oh yeah, it's a good movie." Like, "Oh, you're gonna love this movie." And I came into it kind of, I think, more of expecting that better movie,
Hmm.
and I didn't get it.
Yeah,
You know, and it's I think
that's
well, we'll
that's
get
one
to
of the
that.
things I guess for you too. You're at such a disadvantage, which that's why I like hearing what you say because you haven't seen these and things of that nature. Whereas I have seen them and I already kind of have an opinion of them, and Caleb's probably seen a lot of them too. So we kind of already have opinion, and that's why I think your opinions of these is probably the most genuine because we come into it with our bias already. Whereas you're watching this, there is no expectation. I'm watching a movie. All right, let's go. Let's see what it is. So again, that's
Mhm.
why I like your opinion of it. Even though Caleb has tried to get you off of this, I won't tell you he's tried to kick you off this 100 times. But I've stuck up for you every single time.
I was trying to do what now?
So you threatened to fire me once a week for being late.
Don't be late. I feel like I feel like that's a normal boss thing.
Oh, boss! El
Boss,
Maestro has said he's
wow.
boss. That's your
Uh-huh.
fault for putting co-star instead of star on your
Yeah.
net label.
Hey, one of you wants to edit the podcast, you could be the boss. I
Nope.
wanted to. Any
You have it.
takers? Didn't think
You
No,
so.
take it.
no. I'm
No,
just
we're into that.
Well,
somebody's got to be the talent. That's for me. I'm the one that makes this go from a 30-minute podcast to an hour and 30-minute podcast. That's not a lie.
the inmates agree to land at Lerner Airfield, a desert airstrip, and transfer onto another plane owned by Sandino and his cartel. Poe finds Pinball's corpse trapped in the landing gear and writes a message to Larkin on the body before throwing it out. He learns the news and heads to Lerner after contacting the National Guard. Bedford, raiding the cargo, discovers Poe's identity when reading his parole letter and finding the stuffed rabbit Poe intends to give to his daughter. Casey forcing Poe to kill him. Yeah, if he just put that bunny back in that box.
Let me tell you, a body falling from 14,000 feet. My God.
It's blowing up something.
It's yeah, and it is disintegrating as soon as it hits the ground. There's not gonna be anything left for them to read a message. Okay.
So here's another thing too. I mean,
hold on. We got the body though. The cop calling Larkin, and he's like, "What's this got to do with me?" And he said, "It's got your name
written all over it."
Oh, well, go ahead, Ernie.
When they land at Lerner, okay, this is one of those things that kind of confused me. I'm thinking, oh, this is just a defunct airport, but then it's got a cafe that actually has food on plates. It's got the most propane in the square mile that I've ever seen in my entire life. And then all of a sudden, I think it's like a ghost town. Oh, but no, there's trailers back there. Again, there's just one kid. I don't know where the parents are. I don't know what their jobs are. Oh, I'm sorry. There is that one guy that works at the gas station or whatever. That when Poe hides into the fire truck. Yeah, I just peed on myself or whatever. But it's just. But this is where this part is also kind of where it gets interesting. The boneyard part will start to get interesting to me also. But you get the interaction in the belly of the plane with Bedlam and Cameron. It's just again that's just a funny little scene too altogether. I'm thinking, surely he could have gotten rid of Bedlam's body somehow.
Yeah, I just throw it like you did.
Yeah, like
Dave Chappelle pinball. But I mean, I don't know much about planes, but I feel if you're fighting, like somebody would hurt that, right? Maybe, I don't know. I guess not.
Well, that looks like one of those old Army carrier planes where it's probably
super
loud as all get.
Yeah,
okay,
that makes sense.
Planes are pretty. Commercial planes nowadays are pretty quiet, but
I mean, I know absolutely nothing. I know absolutely nothing about airplanes. I'm scared of heights. I haven't been on an airplane since I was very young, so I know.
Which I say that, but I mean, I've been skydiving before, and when we took off, there wasn't a door on the plane because we were jumping out of it. But I mean, it wasn't. I mean, you could still like even as the plane was flying and like we were getting up to height, like you could still talk with the door open. So I don't know. You might have been able to hear it.
But now this is all you're also talking about a big plane.
Yeah.
And again, big props. So again, there is not the insulation that it has, and so then you also are talking about underneath the plane. So you have a layer of metal too underneath it also. So I mean, it's
I think. Yeah, I now that you say that, it makes more sense. I think my thing was like seeing them climb down to the belly. It didn't seem like it was that big of a drop. Like it just felt like it was right there. But I guess thinking about it, all right, so the jailbird is grounded at Lerner with no sign of the transfer aircraft. Poe warns the others of Sandino's past acts of deceit, betrayal. Grissom orders the others to fuel up the plane and get it ready for takeoff. Poe leaves to find Baby O a syringe to give him insulin, meeting Larkin and informing him of the situation. They discover Sandino planning to escape on a hidden private jet, which Larkin sabotages by lowering a crane arm onto it. Grissom executes Sandino by igniting the plane's fuel. Johnny 23 spots a National Guard convoy approaching and gives the alarm. The inmates find an arsenal of shotguns and rifles in the cargo hold and prepare an ambush. As the National Guard arrives, the inmates launch an assault, resulting in various casualties, but Larkin defends the surviving troops using a bulldozer as a makeshift shield, while the surviving inmates return to the jailbird and take flight. That's a long paragraph because there's a lot that happens. I mean, this is definitely like getting kind of, well, I'm not going to say the climax, but it's a crucial part of the film. Mm-hmm. We go back to Poe and obviously, some of the decisions he's made, like, bro, just go to your family, and there's better things to do than what you're doing. But at the same time, I mean, give him credit. I mean, he's And I mean, granted, it's not like he has a plan. I mean, he's doing all this on the fly. So being able to give off the facade that I'm with you guys while simultaneously trying to turn them against each other is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know why they didn't. He said he was going to go look for propane or gas or something like that, and just
The fuel truck.
yeah, the fuel truck, and just kind of wanders off. But I like the boneyard part where they lead him into the ambush. That's one of those things I really liked how that approached. I mean, how realistic it's not, but again, you're looking at the action of it, and I like that part of the action. Uh, I also like the fact that early on that this doesn't talk about is Larkin stealing the car. To go. He looks at his dilapidated car, and then he jumps in it because again, we have this argument between Larkin and the DEA guy, you know, about they're going to go follow the plane and shoot it down. And the
I
commuter plane is flying. They get these helicopters about to blow them out of the air, and that's just kind of funny. And so he steals the car, which is a great part of the movie too, especially what happens to the car too.
Yeah, I understand that it's like to paint a picture like he gets to his, like you said, dilapidated car. But you're telling me, I mean, this dude is like this high ranking U.S. Marshal. You telling me that's piece of crap is the best that he can do?
Or looking at his shoes, does he just not spend the money? Because he's wearing
Maybe
those
not.
I think
sandals,
it's more. I
or
think
his
it's more of
sandals
that.
and
Is this
socks.
an Ernie Ferguson special?
I think
Hey,
it's more of what Ferg said. Like, because I mean, they even say something about that later. Like he's trying to save the planet or something or another. I don't remember what they was. They said it in the
He certainly
helicopter.
has his baggy dress shirt and baggy dress pants, though. Was that the style? But
I think yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't like tight fitting shirts and stuff like that. It was more the baggy stuff that worked back then.
I tell you, the one thing that this scene I think, did really well was it kind of showed the ingenuity of the criminals that they had here. I think it really showed, especially with Cyrus, like how he's able to kind of fly by the seat of his pants and to come up with a decent idea, like kind of on the spot. And even like when they were landing the plane, and you had the other smaller plane coming straight towards it, when they had to veer off course, and Swamp Thing is like trying to figure something out, trying to stop them before they get to the propane, and dropping the landing gear before they get it, so they all die. I mean, it's just like that kind of quick, like I think it kind of showed that they how smart they really were about some of these things, to try to come up with those things. Even I mean, even Cameron, like I think Caleb mentioned a minute ago about like trying like balancing that. Hey, like I'm on your side and I'm with you, but I'm also trying to like I'm in this selfishly. Like balancing that whole thing out. To me, like I think this scene does a good job of showing that.
Again, genius.
Yeah.
Cyrus the Virus.
Yep.
It was the one moment when like I'd say I was questioning it earlier when they were pulling the stuff out of the jail cell and the plans and all sorts of stuff. I was really questioning it, and I was just like, I don't see that happening. But then this scene is kind of what sold me on Cyrus. This scene is what sold me on the fact that, hey, like this guy actually kind of is a ringleader. He can come up with some plans, pretty decently, and given time, can come up with a pretty big master plan to, you know, perform all this.
See,
He
that's
can.
the jail cell got that for me, not because they found the plans, but the bomb that he'd set up. That he's
Oh, I
like, "Oh,
forgot about the bomb.
Or
you're gonna find this stuff, but guess what's gonna happen when you find it? Kabooey."
the Last Supper with the eye holes
Yeah,
cut out, and you push it over the words. That was pretty
I'm a
creative.
sucker for that type of thing too. I like that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Uh, All right, well, Poe's identity is revealed when Bedford's body is found. Baby O takes the blame and is shot by Grissom when Larkin and Sim's partner Duncan Malloy arrive in attack helicopters, damaging the jailbird's fuel tank. Poe takes command of the cockpit and Larkin instructs him to have the plane land at McCarran International Airport, but Swamp Thing is forced to land it on the Las Vegas Strip, causing mass destruction and killing Johnny 23. Grissom, Diamond Dog, and the Swamp Thing escape on a fire truck, pursued by Poe and Larkin on police motorcycles. The chase results in the deaths of all three escapees. Poe reunites with his family, meeting Casey for the first time and giving her the bunny. As the surviving inmates are apprehended, Green, the only one unaccounted for, is seen gambling in a casino.
Okay,
Um,
let me ask you. No. given the choice, like given the choice, you have a plane filled with criminals who were on the run. Do you pull the trigger?
Shoot it down.
No, I don't care about the plane. Planes are replaceable. Okay, like shoot it down and save the civilians.
Because they don't talk about how many people got killed in Vegas.
Here's my thing, and look, I'm glad that even in the concept of the movie, even though it doesn't make sense, John Cusack's character is taking up for Cameron Poe. Like he just wants to get, but like I feel like it would have been more realistic because didn't they still have the guards, some of the guards on the plane? Because didn't they bring them?
They had yes, they had.
They had some of the guards that were still on the plane.
The female guard was still on the
plane. Female guard.
But they had a couple more, didn't they? Because
I thought they left all them at the airport.
No, I think they still had a couple of the guards because I think I remember at the end of the movie them bringing them out.
They were keeping them hostages.
Yeah, hostages.
Because that was the whole thing between.
Because Diamond Dog was going to shoot him.
Diamond Dog, yeah.
So my thing is like, if you'd been like, "Hey, my men are on that plane," like that's more realistic than saying, "Hey, don't shoot this down, this criminal on here," even though he shouldn't be in prison. I mean, he shouldn't be here. We've talked about this already. He shouldn't be here. But either way, he has been in prison for 8 years. If you're telling a guy who doesn't know this guy, like, to not shoot this down, I feel like it would be more realistic to say my men are on that plane than don't shoot this down because this criminal is on this plane. Let him take care of it. He's got our back. He can handle this.
So that goes back to who is actually in charge. You're telling me a non-military person from the DEA or the U.S. Marshals is going to
is commanding these attack helicopters? Yes. Whatever. He's like,
they're confused about it too. Because one of them said that the DEA sitting over here saying, shoot it. Another one saying, get in front of the missiles. Like,
get in front of the missiles. Like, what kind of military?
Block it. Yeah.
I know. What kind of military training is that? He's like, I don't think I should do this, but since you said so. At first, when they first show up, I thought they were piloting the helicopters. Like,
yeah.
It's like, okay.
Even when he does it, when he says, hold it, he's like, really? He says, really?
that guy piloting the helicopter is the only realistic dude in the whole movie. He's like, really? It's like, okay, let's let this thing crash into Las Vegas. It's only one of the most populous cities in the entire United States. I'm sure it will go well. I'm sure things will. But then they crash it. And, we get the kind of the false ending where, he comes off and you see him talking to the Baby O goes on the pyramid, I think. And then you see him talking to the female. So, I mean, this is it. Like, you're done. You've done your job and you can now go see your wife. Goes back to what we said. How excited is he to really see his wife and daughter? Because he sees Cyrus on the fire truck. He's not a cop, mind you. He's not nothing. And he's like, all right, let me swing back into action.
But now, in his defense in here, I will say that Cyrus had already threatened him. It said that if we ever get off this plane, the last thing your daughter will ever see or smell or whatever is going to be my breath.
Yeah, I get that. But
I can see him going after him. I can get it.
I think this is more of just a movie thing. Like, hey, like, let's go chase down the bat. I mean, there's really, I guess you can make that argument. But the whole point of him doing this the entire movie is he's trying to save Baby O's life, and obviously the female security guard too, I guess. So he's done this at this point, and now he has his chance to go see his. I mean, there's realistically, there's no reason for him to jump on a motorcycle and go be chasing down these criminals anymore.
Well, this is where the genius goes out the window, because Swamp Thing's driving the fire truck, so we're gonna get on top of the fire truck with the ladder instead of riding shotgun. That way nobody can see you.
Diamond Dog has the full firefighter suit on.
That's funny. But now his death also. I don't know if physics works that way to where you rev up the motorcycle while the fire truck's driving really fast. You're chasing the fire truck on that motorcycle. I guess you rev it up so fast to grab the ladder and it jumps up and hits Diamond Dog.
And then explodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not bringing physics to a Michael Bay movie.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
that
I'm
is
sorry.
true.
Simon West. My bad. Sorry.
One thing I do like about this is, practical stuff like the plane going into the Sands Motel. The Sands Motel was scheduled to be demolished. Bruckheimer contacts the Sands and basically says, "Can we ram a plane into the hotel?" And they're like, "Are you paying us?" "Yes." "Sure. We're destroying it anyways. So come on, fly this plane or drive this prop into our hotel. We don't care." I think that's pretty ingenious right there.
And then
Which the original plans has for this plane to run into the White House. That would not have. Well, I mean, that was 97, so I guess it would have been all right at that time. But yeah, changing it to Las Vegas makes it a better movie than going with the original plot line was for it to go into Washington D.C.
Yeah, now that I think about that, I don't think this movie could be released
I
today
was
just because of that.
I was gonna say, well, hey, we just watched a movie in the theaters where the White House got half destroyed, but then I realized what you were
by a Hulk.
I know what you were referring to now, but and then to go back to, again, I said it many times, this is a very Michael Bay-ish movie. And what do we get in Michael Bay movies? The ending, it goes, there's very go big and go home. We get Cyrus can't just die in this movie.
No.
Okay, he has to be crucified on the ladder. He hits this bridge. The truck hits an armored car carrying all this money just for extra. So then his body goes flying into electrical cords.
Yes, like catapulted almost.
He gets electrocuted, and then he falls into the rubble, still alive, by the way, somehow. And his head gets guillotine-style crushed by a, what would you call that?
A hydraulic press.
A hydraulic press. So they were like, I'm pretty sure they spent a whole day in the script room like, how can we make him die? And they all, each one, there was like 10 of them in there. They each came up with a different idea, and the director said, "I love it. Put it all in," and that's what they did.
I just can't decide which one sounds the best.
Let's do it all. Throw it all in there. We'll make it work.
We got extra time. We got some budget left. Okay, let's do it all then.
Yeah.
John Malkovich reads the screen. He reads the script. He's like, wait a minute, I do. What happens to me now? He's like, look, we got to make this as practical as effect we can, so we're going to actually put the hydraulic press over your head. Don't worry, we'll stop it.
It's the Michael Scott with Toby's head blowing up, and by far the most expensive shot of the movie. Totally worth it. Would do it 10 times out of 10.
I'm just now reading like this. We're here at the bottom of the plot, so the cast is next, and it's talking about Steve Buscemi's character, and it's like it was based on real life serial killers: Ed Gein, Ted Bundy, Charles Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, and Edmund Kemper. They just threw them all into one.
Wow!
And they were like, "Who can we get to play this?" And there's Steve Buscemi. That's the guy right there.
Yeah,
he'll knock it out of the park.
But he does a good job.
6 serial killers.
against Poe's best wishes, he finally does get to reunite with his wife and his daughter. And it's funny because you think this whole time like, hey, she's been writing him there. It's gonna be so exciting, and then she's scared and everything. But that being said, I will say this: for as absurd and crazy as the movie is, this scene definitely touches at my heartstrings, especially now that I've become a father. Just thinking as a father, like not being there for the birth of your child and going 8 years, like just imagining that would be tough.
Yeah.
So, and having Trisha Yearwood's song playing definitely adds to it. As crazy as this movie may get, I did like the ending. I thought it was good, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was.
I definitely get it. I definitely get the little girl. Like, I feel like it was a little bit more realistic. The fact that she's
I mean,
immediately running.
Especially with the bunny that he gave her.
Oh yeah, golly! That
I
he
mean, it was
pulled
going
out of
down
the
the.
storm drain.
It's a little dirty. No, I agree. I like the realistic because I mean, look, you're talking about a man that you haven't seen in 8 years, and not only have you not seen him in 8 years, he's your dad, and he's been in prison. Like, there's just there. I mean,
Mama,
it's not.
I can see why you haven't taken me to see him, Mama.
There's
Oh,
no.
we totally missed something here. Nick Cage got shot in the arm, man.
Oh
It
yeah,
didn't
his
flinch
Superman.
or nothing. Like,
Look, man, Nick
Oh,
Cage is
that
a
was.
bad man in this. Like, you
I
do
mean,
not
that
mess
was.
with Cameron Poe.
I mean, that was after Cyrus puts the gun to the bunny's head, then says, "Make a move," and the bunny gets it. I mean, yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
That's
And that
fantastic.
was
I don't
a
know. You're saying that like it's stupid. That's just great. That's just great script
No,
writing right there.
no, any quote about the bunny
The bunny is the
like
best part of
is
the
like,
movie.
oh
Yes.
yeah,
no.
no doubt. I mean, that's up there.
I just that was the other thing that really I think bothered me about it was he got shot, didn't flinch, his arm didn't recoil. He just, I mean, kept trucking through. Then he gets over here on the fire truck and he just pokes it. Cyrus just pokes the wound and it cripples him instantly.
Well, the
Yeah.
adrenaline wore off, and then he had to kick the adrenaline
You're
back
gonna tell
up.
me he doesn't have adrenaline on the fire truck?
No, I said his adrenaline peaked up. Then after they landed, it dropped off. Now he had to pick up that adrenaline again, and it just didn't work. I mean, he didn't Pulp Fiction and put the adrenaline straight to his heart and go after it.
Sure didn't. Let me tell you.
And then right before we end, we get the final scene with Garland Green in the casino. Although you're telling me that a man that's apparently the equivalent of 6 of the most famous serial killers, most infamous serial killers in American history, and you're telling me he could just walk around in a casino. Okay, don't.
Yeah.
But so all
But
right,
I mean, to be fair though, like it's not like today where you have
that's true.
all
But
the
still, I
social media
mean,
and stuff.
I still don't know what he has to this movie.
No,
I've yet to
Absolutely
figure this
nothing.
out.
It
We've
doesn't have
done an hour
anything.
and 10 minutes so far on this podcast, and I've yet to figure out what Steve Buscemi really played in this movie.
Con Air
What was
2, The Search for Garland Green.
yeah? What
they
was
bring
the quote? You
they
feeling a little
they
lucky today?
they go get Poe to go track him down because like that's his thing. Like we can't do it. Like the DEA and stuff can't do it, or U.S. Marshals. Like we need some civilian who honorably discharged man that spent 8 years in prison to go do it. And you know what? You're laughing, but that sounds like a very realistic script for Con Air
Oh,
2
100%.
that they never got.
I guarantee you somebody had already pitched that.
All right, so that's the ending of the reading of the movie. So I guess now we'll go into our rankings. Um, I guess I'll go first since I went last week. Um, like I said before we started this whole thing, this movie is completely stupid, and we just went through a whole litany of reasons why. There's so many plot holes, and just things that don't make sense. And I mean, look, I get it, but Nick Cage, to me, he may be the actor to me that he just puts on an exciting movie. Maybe not always the best movie, but everything that I watch with him in it, besides Moonstruck, is just absolutely fun to watch. And you can, I mean, this, The Rock, the National Treasure movies, shoot, even the Ghost Rider movies, I really enjoyed them. And like, it's maybe stupid, it may not make sense, it may be very Michael Bay to the max, even though it's not actually a Michael Bay movie. But I have so much fun watching it, and the accent doesn't bother me. I just have fun with the absurdity of it. And like Ernie said, I mean, you're there to be entertained. That's what you're there to watch this movie. So I guess objectively, we would probably want to rank it based on not those things, but I don't feel like being objective today.
There you
So
go.
I'm going to give it a 9 because, as stupid as it may be, I incredibly enjoyed this movie, and I will definitely. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. I enjoyed it this time, and I will continue to enjoy it every time I watch it again. I'm surprised I didn't watch it twice before this, but I didn't get around to it. But yeah, I'm gonna go with a 9. I'm sure that's very well higher than what you two are gonna give it, but eh, it's not the first time I've given a much higher score.
That's very true.
Go ahead, Ferg.
All right.
He wants you to go next because he's like, I'm about to bottom this movie out. Like, just watch.
Ironically, one of my least favorite things about this movie is Nicolas Cage. Not, I like Nicolas Cage when he goes over the top. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think he went over the top on this. I just he was there. To me, John Malkovich was the main part of the show. Even Ving Rhames and Steve Buscemi, that part, the supporting cast to me was more entertaining than Nicolas Cage was. Like I said, Nicolas Cage. If you want to see unhinged Nicolas Cage that I like, that's Face Off. That's and Raising Arizona. Those are two that where he's just like literally off the wagon, and I like those performances. And so again, this movie is, it's okay. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Yeah, this surprisingly not, this movie did not do it for me. I just I think a lot of it was because I went into there with a little bit more expectations than what I should have.
I get that.
Yeah.
Because I had, like I said, a lot of people told me that, hey, like, you'll like this movie, or it's a good movie or whatever, and I just don't get me wrong, like it was a fun movie if you just sit back and just watch it and take it at face value for what it is. But it just, I think, to me, I enjoy movies that are a little bit more well rounded, like plot wise, and things like that. Like, I understand that there's going to be plot holes and things like that, but this movie just didn't have it. The going back and forth, especially with like John Malkovich's character, just, hey, showing how smart he is, but then showing some dumb things that he does, and like Nick Cage's whole character, and it really just I probably won't ever watch it again if it's on TV. Sure, if it's the only thing on TV, maybe, but that'd probably be about it. I'll be honest, I'm probably going to give it a 7.
To me,
Right.
for me, the comparable to this is Bad Boys. Same style, same action, but the thing for me that makes Bad Boys better than Con Air is the relationships that you got from Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, which that's to me was missing in this movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, at the end of the day, I keep saying Michael Bay. It's not a Michael Bay movie, but it's so like it. And I'm a very Michael Bay fanboy. I like pretty much everything he's ever made. And so
Suggs, is this what you wish Forrest Gump would have been? Because I mean, look, Bubba got shot. Okay, there's a shrimp boat.
I mean,
there's
look,
a terrible Alabama accent in here.
Yeah, I know. You know what, and you know what Forrest Gump has that makes it way worse than Con Air? It has Jenny. So,
who Monica Potter looks almost identical to.
Yeah, but you know what? If Monica Potter's going to be as bad as Jenny, at least they didn't keep her that much in the movie. But all right, so that's a 9, a 7.5, and a 7. Not at all diverse. That averages out to a 7.83 repeating. Ernie, where does that put us on our?
Well, go figure that this ties us with Major League. With hold on, with the exact same ratings by each of us. Caleb gave 9 on both. I gave a 7.5 on both, and Dakota gave a 7 on both.
I should have given a lower score on both of these movies.
Identical to each other, which is just kind of, it's one of those things. Okay.
Tied for Major League. Where is that on?
That puts it at 20. They tied for 22nd. So that puts behind New Jack City and Lost Boys and above The Mask of Zorro.
Hey, you know what we didn't note for this movie? is the Rotten Tomatoes score?
58%, I think. And
Yeah,
then I think a 79 or something for the popcorn meter, which is the fan score. 75.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. All right. So 26. Is that what you said? 22nd.
22nd.
22nd. 22nd on our list. And if you would like to see our full rankings, you can go to our website, podpage.com/classic blockbusters. That's podpage.com/classic blockbusters. You can check out our full list of rankings as well as our new episodes and plenty of other stuff. Ernie does a good job keeping up with that, so please go check us out on there. If you would like to see our Facebook page, you can go to Blockbusters Classic Movie Podcast. We post all our episodes on there as well. Our episodes are available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Ernie, it is your pick next.
It is my pick next, and this one is for your wife. We are
going to
knock out. We are going to knock out 1999, and we are going to watch 10 Things I Hate About You.
Wait, my wife or Dakota's wife?
No, your wife. She said that she would watch this if she'd do more movies that she would want to see. She'll want to see 10 Things I Hate About You.
Who is this? Ferg, do you have this on DVD or something? Because you have to rent it.
No, you can get it.
Ferg will find it. He'll probably find it on YouTube in like 57 parts where you're watching it in like a little triangle in the corner of the screen.
No, it's on Disney Plus.
Oh, it's on Disney Plus.
Huh. Yeah.
IMDb is wrong.
So, but yeah, your wife talked about don't have any movies that she would watch. This has Heath Ledger in it. I mean, it has.
I'll have to ask her. I've never heard her mention that she wants to watch this movie. So
also, I mean,
this is a movie I watched recently.
Also, it's Shakespeare. I mean, this is a Shakespeare movie.
Man,
sure is.
I'm just living the best life lately. I mean, I pat my pick, and then Dakota picked Con Air, and now you're picking 10 things.
Pick, and then he had his second pick.
And then I get to pick my next movie, man.
I will tell you what.
I'm living the good life.
My pick I was going to have was affected by The Lost Boys. And so it was changed by some of the actors that were in The Lost Boys are in the movie that I was going to pick. And I was like, okay, I'm going to
Stand By Me. Is that what you're going to pick?
Huh? Yeah, I was going to pick Stand By Me. But that's one of the things. That's one of the problems I have too. Is like, we'll watch something. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. That's going to make me diverge from this. But 10 Things I Hate About You has been on my list earlier. I mean,
I remember.
Yeah, Caleb's asked for my list several times, and that's been on my list for a while. And since I looked at the year, I knew you were going to knock out 1980 here pretty soon, if not this next time. So I was looking at 83 and 99, and so 99 was 10 Things I Hate About You, just because, I plus also kind of like, I can't depend on y'all to pick up a romantic comedy movie because, one, Caleb, you won't. And Dakota, you can't. So
no. Most of my favorite romantic comedies are 2000s movies, and I know we tend to kind of keep pre-2000 at least for now. So, like, shoot, we watched. We watched. Me and my wife watched Sweet Home Alabama on Valentine's Day. Who do you think picked that? You think she picked that? No, I picked that.
That's a good movie.
I love that movie. Yeah, I know. At first, she was like, she was trying to act like, oh, she's not that interested, but then by the end, she was crying. So,
yeah, this is 10 Things I Hate About You is one of I think Kamei's favorite movies ever, and she has made me watch it. She's made me watch it before. So,
so you're gonna come in bitter because she's made you watch it?
I would rather watch this than one of her other ones, which I don't hate it, but She's the Man.
Yeah, She's the Man's our feel-good movie though.
Yeah. All right, so 7.83 repeating is our score for Con Air. It places 22nd on our list. Next week we will be doing 10 Things I Hate About You. Guys, anything else you would like to add on this now hour and 20 plus minute podcast that we have going here?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Tell our listeners that. They probably wanted us to shut up 20 minutes ago. Well, no,
they don't have to. They don't have to listen.
They probably check out anyways after the first 5 minutes, but that's okay. As long as they give us a 5-star rating, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Anything to add?
Nah, we'll just see you at the movies next time.